Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. The #1 source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. We've got a show for you guys today. We hope. We weren't exactly sure. We had some technical issues there. I wasn't sure if it was actually recording, but we got it. We're good. Before we jump into everything real quick, just want to thank all of our subscribers on the website. The number of you guys is growing astronomically every single day. So thank you so much for supporting us. If you guys aren't already subscribed, jump over there. You can get the first month for $1. We have the tournaments starting this Monday, going every evening, Monday to Friday, leading up to our big tournament next Saturday, followed by the World's Open Qualifier the Saturday after. We've got deck guides for all the top decks. We've got our weekly learning call every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Lots of awesome stuff for a low price every month. It supports us and helps us bring you guys more awesome stuff like this podcast. Okay, let's jump into everything. We don't have a ton of time today, so we're going to hit the high points quickly because the World's Qualifier is, as of this recording, in 16 days. Yep. So literally 2 weeks and 2 days, which is crazy.
Let's make it a tight 30 minutes. I just want to jump immediately in. Like,
let's go.
Let's real quick. 5 minutes. How'd your open run go? What'd you bring? How'd it go?
Pretty poorly. I started off 3-0 and then immediately went 0-3, and I wasn't really sure exactly what to think about it. One of my opponents, I was like, my opponents kind of just had it sometimes. There's definitely some things I could have done differently here or there. One of my opponents literally messaged me on Discord that was like, man, sorry to just like nut draw you 2 times in a row. And I was like, okay, maybe there was a little bit of that. We knew what this format was, right? There was definitely some having the right cards at the right time. I didn't feel bad about like my play or my deck decisions. The lineups that I was on, more or less, like the Jax Worm plus Fizz plus a CS deck, like was an obvious winner for a lot of people.
It's like
I could have played,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I could have played a different CS deck. I played, was it Elites instead of the?
I like the Lucian.
The other one
felt very strong.
Yeah, so I kind of messed up my testing there a little bit because there were so many different versions. I was doing really well with it at the beginning, and then I like kind of hit some issues with it later on, and I just kind of didn't go back and like suss it out quite enough, and I kind of just went for what was safe, which was sort of fine. It wasn't like I did terrible with that deck specifically, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. Like sometimes you punt or you make some mistakes or you're like one of your decks just gets pooped on and you're like, man, I didn't see that coming. I smashed 3 people. Then I played 3 very close matches where, a lot of the games were like, man, I hope they have Solani here on 7, or I didn't need to draw like an answer as well. If they do have it, if they do draw into it, stuff like that. And just like, oh no, they had it every time. Or, I don't know. So I don't feel bad about it. I was like happy. I had a good time playing, even though I didn't have a very good record or whatever, but looking to improve on the next time. What about you though? Did you 9-0?
I did.
The day one?
I did. Real quick before we move on to mine, I felt like you were pretty well prepared, especially compared to like your other open runs in recent memory. I feel like this was the one that you put more time into. So I'm glad that like, even though you didn't get the results, you felt good about it.
Yeah. And, there are some things that I maybe want to take away. One, this was the first time I played early because like I mentioned in the previous podcast, I needed to like get out to the beach. So I was playing at like, I don't know, 7:30, 8, like right away, basically. And I'm not sure how much that affects things, but my level of competition was stiff for sure. But I mean, could be at any time. But typically I do play I like playing a little bit later in the evening.
Is the way to go.
This is also the first time that I've played decks that were a little bit lower agency, as we say. Normally, I play
higher
decks that are, so more like the stuff that you like. Obviously, spell heavy decks, Karma decks, Lee Sin, Seraphine. I love these kind of decks, and they do give you some sort of agency. And maybe it was part of the meta, as it was very like, oh, did you get your Siren Song? Did you get your CS? Did you get your whatever? But like, you played Karma on both days, and definitely not having that ability to like outplay my opponents or whatever. I was like, I wonder, how much that factors in, because I did put a lot of time in. It's pretty happy with my play. You can always do things better. Of course, there's definitely some plays that were like interesting. I wish I had recorded my run, because I would have loved to go back. But there wasn't anything where I thought like I made some glaring mistakes or anything. So I don't know. It's definitely, let's just say, going into Worlds, I'm definitely going to be looking to go back to more decks that give you a lot more options, rather than, even things that are like good, like Jaxorn or Aatrox. Aatrox has a decent amount of options.
It does, yeah.
I mean, Jaxorn does too. That's why they're good decks. But sometimes you're just like, oh, I didn't I drew all my 7 drops or
no
6
weapons.
drops or what early, and then no weapons and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't know. Definitely something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind. I'm definitely going to be pushing towards decks that are a little bit more like Karma, even like Puff Caps, even things that are a little bit more spell intricate. I think it's what I'm going to be trying to make happen, anyways.
Something that I've brought up multiple times for various reasons, be it like certain sequencing in a line, allowing my opponent to make a decision instead of like forcing an issue, is I like to give my opponent the opportunity to fuck up as often as possible.
Yeah.
And like a lot of those decks do. Like a lot of the Siren Song decks, it's more like, am I doing the thing? Right? And if you are, then like you're probably going to win. And a lot of times, like if you're playing Karma Set, like Karma Set, it's still a strong deck even after the coins nerf, I think, although that is really annoying. But like what I forgot is that, and this is not like a slight to anyone, especially not my opponents. This is not something that happened over the last open run, and I'm just commenting on that one. This is like over all the tournaments I played, basically. Your average opponent play level is lower than you expect.
Yes.
Like in open rounds, your average opponent's level of play is not going to be quite up to
I want to add on to that a little bit too. I was playing against Karma like today or something, or yesterday, or was I playing with Karma?
There was Karma involved.
Maybe I was playing with Karma, I think. Yes, and I was playing against a Samira deck, and I went to kill a 3/3 instead of like a 2/2 Samira with a 3 damage spell, and they like pumped the 3/3 and were able to like run away. And I was like, oh yeah, if I killed the Samira there like for 100% of the time, like I probably would have just like been fine with this. Yeah. And this was like, and so like when things happen like that on either side of the Karma deck, they're so punishing. So one, like you need to play the deck really well and not make mistakes, and two, as the Karma opponent, if you make any mistakes, if you cast something out of turn, if you pass when you shouldn't or don't pass when you should, it is very punishing.
Yeah. There's so many times where I've been playing Karma Set, or I mean any other deck like this, and I'm like, okay, here's the thing. If I do this, it incentivizes my opponent to develop more. If they don't develop, it puts us in a bad spot. And if they do develop, they lose the game on the spot. And lo and behold, they develop and they lose the game on the spot. Right? Like where maybe a more astute opponent would be like, here's how I lose. Right? If I develop and they have this, I lose the game. And maybe they don't take that line. And so like that kind of stuff just happens a lot, I feel like, in open rounds. And so giving myself the opportunity to outplay the opponent, I think, is really important to me. My open run went well, like we were talking about. I went 9-0. It was the fastest run I think I've ever had. It was like 2.5 hours of streaming it.
Nice.
What
were the other two decks?
It was Fizz, Siren Song, Lucian,
right.
Lucian, Alawi, Siren Song, Reaver's Row, and then Karma.
Yeah.
I played the 2 good decks, which I think were the 2 best decks in the format still. And then I played Karma Set after talking to like Boulevard, Aikido, you, and everybody on that one call. I wasn't a super big fan of it, but the other options were like elites, scouts, or Jax Ornn, and I was like, I need something. I was like, I need something that I at least don't want to like shoot myself when I play. So I brought Karmaset, ended up being good. My opponents just banned it all the time, so that was fine, I guess. And then the actual like open,
interesting.
Yeah.
The meta also, I'll say the meta got a lot better for it in the last week. Like a lot of the stuff that we struggled with in the beginning of the like Toro King like disappeared, which was like a nightmare. Yeah. Like all these slow mid-range decks was like just being like had everyone
just started playing Jax Ornn, and you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's great. With Buried in Ice, I don't care about that.
And I think Karmaset also falling off that like last week. A lot of people probably weren't as familiar with the matchups for all their decks into Karmaset.
Yep.
Anyways,
so that factored in.
Even the ban is fantastic also.
Yeah, just ate a ban a lot of times, and I was like, cool, I get to play the good decks. And when it didn't get banned, I was like, cool, I get to play the deck I like. I did not put in a lot of practice this season. I think a lot of people, anyone who watches my content knows I didn't do much playing of Runeterra during the Siren Song meta. I was not a really big fan of it. And so I showed up underprepared and just got bailed out. Like, my decks just did the thing. I just like walked over people. And I feel like I played okay, but I've mentioned a lot that I don't perform well with decks I don't like, and that really came back to bite me in day 2 in top 32 matchup, where I threw a win because I was too busy being upset about, or at least I threw a potential lethal, right? Like my opponent had to have Hush or like double Pale Cascade or like double Guiding Touch or something. I threw a potential lethal because I was upset that my Reaver's Row hit double ephemeral units. Was that really unlucky? Yeah, it was really unlucky. But like, had I been playing a deck that I enjoyed more, I wouldn't have gotten like tilted so fast.
How do you feel about that now? Being removed from it, having time to think about it.
How do I feel about the Reaver's Row hitting 2 ephemerals or me misplaying? Like, can you be more specific?
You misplaying. You getting upset about it and misplaying.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't feel great about it, but like I asked
because like I expect better of myself and I expect better of you.
Yeah, no, I should be better. This has been like a known weakness of mine forever. Is that I struggle with things I don't like. And I really should have just been like, bro, suck it up. Like, just deal with it, right? Just separate the emotions from playing, right? Just play the game to the best of your ability.
Do you think it adds extra emotion or pressure because you're streaming?
Yes.
It's like if you fall down on the sidewalk and like an idiot or run into a pole, no one's around. It's like what you're like, oh, whatever. But you do it in front of like 1,000 people or something. You're like, oh my fucking God. It's like, it's different, right?
Yeah. I was embarrassed to post the VOD to YouTube. I was embarrassed. But I did. And actually, I don't think anybody pointed it out in the comments, so that's nice. That was nice of them. Usually they like completely attack me for misplays. But yeah, so the added pressure from streaming is rough. The main thing that gets to me is like when I show up with decks I don't like or strategies I don't enjoy playing, I'm only playing them to win. And so if anything that doesn't like, if I'm not winning or things happen that keep me from winning, I get frustrated and I get upset because that is my only purpose at the moment. Like that is the only reason why I'm doing this thing is just to win. Right. Because this is such a horrible like mindset and such a horrible habit, but like, I'm not here to learn when I play these decks. I'm not here to get better. I don't care. I don't want to. I just want to play this deck, go like this, and then walk away. And that's my issue. And I really need to like get over that. But it is difficult for me. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mental game, right? It's like, it's the same in everything, whether it's business or sports. There's a reason I remember growing up, I'm actually writing an article about this right now about like the mental side of competition. Do you ever, like, you've played lots of sports. Do you remember like people saying it's 90% mental?
I do remember
baseball.
Saying that.
It's 90% mental. I remember being like, really? Because like I'm pretty sure if I was like Jose Canseco ripped, I would smash that ball a lot farther. So I don't really know what you're talking about. But it turns out like technique and understanding the game at like an insane level is what's the most important. For instance, like one of the best pistol players I saw ever my entire life was this like 5'0" Indian girl that weighed like 90 pounds or whatever, but she could like bomb it to the fence, throw it from the fence to home. I saw her do a Superman diving catch one time. She just had the best fundamentals on planet Earth, and she crushed at the game. And so back to mental being important. It's the same as all we're doing is, fighting wits more or less, and I'm like writing variants up and down. And so not being able to tilt, just like, for poker is obviously super important. But it's like sports psychology, right? There's things you can do to combat this, and like exercises you can do and stuff. I'll send you some links.
Yeah. And I should do that. I mean, I've played poker, right? Like I know how important it is. And yeah, I think you're right. I think the streaming does add extra pressure. So that was my run. I finished in top 32. I think I could have gone a little bit farther. I think a big reason, like I wasn't playing super hot because I didn't expect to do well.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I said? Like the day before the open, I was like, what lineup gets me to top cut? That's all I care about. I was just like, I just want to like X2 top cut and go home. And so going into day 2, I was just kind of like, whatever.
That's a big one. That's a big one too. Hey, that's why most people that make their first top cut, like a top 8 in Magic, for instance, will lose the first round because they're done
immediately.
In their mind, they can relax now. They're done. It's over. You can breathe easy.
Everything else is extra. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt. I think Ian Nogueira won the Open, and I believe he also had not really been playing the game at all.
Yeah, it was just on triple Siren song.
Yeah, it was like, I don't want to diminish, definitely not taking anything away from him here, but like this Open was a lot more variance heavy due to the meta. There's still edges to be had, obviously. Like, you still saw very Grandpa Roji, I believe, was in the finals. Floppy Mudkip like top 8'd or whatever, or like a bunch of other names. If you looked at the top like 64, top 32, top 8, whatever, you'd recognize most of them. But it was still like, you get your edges, but like sometimes you flip tails and your opponent doesn't, and you just lose the game. And I was definitely on the positive end of that, right? I was flipping heads. And I think that also made me play sloppier. Not that I was flipping heads. It made me play sloppier because I knew that the outcome of the game could be decided on just whether or not one of us drew a card. And that felt bad to me.
Yeah.
But okay, we spent way too long on this. Open run was a success for me because I got some points. Sorry you didn't quite get there, but I'm very happy that you put in the prep time. And I
don't feel bad about it. Weirdly,
that's good. Yeah. Okay, moving on. The patch happened. Siren Song got kicked in the teeth. Powder Pandemonium got punched again, which is great. I hate that card.
Me too.
And so now we have a new meta, and we have to figure it out in 2 weeks because that's when the World Qualifier is. Where are you starting? What are your your overall? Give me 3 sentences on what you think is going to happen in this meta.
Okay, so there's a bunch of decks that are obviously more or less untouched that are still at the top.
Okay,
Jaxorn,
yes.
Aatrox, Parmaset, Alawi, Swain.
Okay,
is in there. I'm sure I'm missing 1 or 2, but
you got them.
Yeah, there's like the stuff that was tier 1.5, tier 2. We were talking Puff Caps.
Jinnar probably is in there.
Jinnar, exactly. Things like that. Let's see, maybe some CS decks for sure. Yeah. Right, we'll be around. Still doing powerful things. So the meta more or less hasn't really changed, other than we just like slapped out Siren Song, and I guess monkeys kind of got pushed down. Some things kind of got buffed. Like Jaxorn got a little bit better from that 5-drop getting overwhelmed. That's actually pretty big.
That deck was really good. Yeah,
definitely going to be around. But is there anything else that's new or that is going to be seeing more play now? I think maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure where things shake out, but it doesn't seem to me like it's going to be this wild explosion. I think what's going to happen is it's going to solidify around the decks that we already know are good because they're just too good. They do more powerful things, consistently, and they're just always going to be good. I think the real key, what to figure out, is one, yes, the lineup that you want on day one for sure, but definitely figuring out the counter lineup. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on these decks that are at the top that we've already spent a lot of time on. I definitely want to figure out what I'm bringing for day one, but I think there's going to be figuring out what the counter lineups are for day two is like where I want to spend more of my time, because I think that's where, you know, you can get the biggest edge will come from.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, like what Red Pup Games normally does, where they show up with like a really good day two lineup. I think that's going to be really, really important this time around, because everyone's going to know more or less what the good decks are, and
you think we
can only go so far.
Stage one, we can put in our time for a week, and then maybe go, okay, we have a working knowledge.
And there's a lot of stuff to explore. You know, the stuff for the new set hasn't been, I feel like, totally fleshed out yet, because of Siren Song holding everything down. So that's kind of where I want to be spending a lot of time early on.
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably let the community do most of the heavy lifting for me on the newer stuff, because I personally think it's really bad. I think Nico's pretty bad. I think Nidalee's pretty bad. I think Poro King's pretty bad, but I'm open to having my mind changed. But I've tried these and they've been unsuccessful, or more importantly, they've been worse than already existing options. And that's the big like problem for me, is why would I play a Nico deck when I could play a different champ strength deck and it's better? Why would I play this Nico Gnar Ornn in the Tribes deck when Jax Ornn just does the same thing, but it's stronger, right? Like, and that's how you have to look at it as a competitive player. I had the one day we've had to play, I played Seraphine Jack, BB combo, because there's not a lot of things that are interacting a ton at the moment on the stack, right? There's not a lot of like mystic shots floating around. There's a lower number of pings than average, that kind of stuff. The coin nerf sucks in more ways than one. Like, it not being burst, it sucks for the deck. Obviously, that is a nerf, right? Same with Karma said, it is a nerf. You're not as reactable. Two, it sucks because it feels bad. Like, every time I look at the coin in my hand and its focus speed, I'm like, this sucks, man. Like, this
it's
sucks.
It's a pretty big nerf.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big nerf.
Yep. But the deck felt pretty solid, and there's a pretty like halfway decent chance that I end up bringing something like that. The only problem is, like, I Boulevard said this, and I actually noticed that I absolutely do the same thing. It's he's like, I show up to any tournament and my lineup is always a certain lineup because I refuse to show up and lose to Jax Ornn. And like, I've always thought the same thing. I think Jax Ornn is such like a ooga booga dumb deck that like I hate losing to it. So I always bring decks that are good into Jax Ornn. And Seraphine BB is not the greatest into Jax Ornn, because like the deck kills you on 7. And you need to get to like 9 with BB, and like your Caustic Griff isn't killing anything. Right? Yeah. You're like, yeah, Caustic Griff for 3, deal 3 damage to everything, and they're like, cool, you kill my 1-drop. Like, clunk.
Maybe.
And then I die. Yeah, maybe. So like that matchup sucks, and that might be enough to get me off it, but we'll see. I've been experimenting with other Jack decks just to see if like there's something there. The new Angel like change is very powerful. The one where it plunders, get 3 coins. Very powerful, but that fits in more of an aggressive shell. And Jack Seraphine, not the most aggressive. We'll see though. I expect Vaintrox and Jax Ornn to be like the 2 decks going into the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're good, safe, powerful choices. I saw elusives, the old Teemo elusives.
A lot of elusives going around. Yeah.
Or I guess it's not Teemo. I guess it's oh no, it's Teemo. Yeah,
it's Teemo.
Yeah, a lot of elusives going around makes sense. It's good against those equipment decks. Good against a lot of stuff, actually. I mean, that's just one of the decks that used to be good, and now it's still being good. And other stuff's gone. What do you think? Have you played any?
Play? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I played some Puff Caps also, which again, now that the format's slowed down, like that deck was already like not bad.
Yeah, that's
and now the format's way slower. Like, use some. Yep. Whose version was I playing? I can't remember, but they were playing that 6-drop that like doubles the damage from Puff Caps. Yeah, Ava. I was like way behind. Had like 20, like quickly put 26 Puff Caps into their deck when they had like 26 cards, So like not that much. But with Ava in play, I just like 10, just like two shot of them basically pretty easily. So that card didn't suck. So that I think that deck's real.
I think
where it ends up exactly between tier 1 and 2 in the hierarchy depends a little bit on the meta stuff, but it's a real deck for sure. People are gonna be real annoyed by it. I wanted to ask you about. Sorry, you go.
I was just real quick. I was just gonna say like the deck is so like bursty now. Moving away from mid-range tools like Caitlyn and things, I think does the deck a lot of power. Like it adds a lot of power to the deck because like there's been so many times where I'm like 18 health, have 3 puff caps in my deck. We're at turn 8, and they just go like, okay, Peddler. I'm like, okay, kill Peddler, and they go, okay, respond 3x, put puff caps in your deck, right? That's like 23 puff caps, or sorry, 24 puff caps, and then they go, okay, Karina, condense Karina, and I just die.
Yep.
Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that sucks. And that's just what the deck does. And it's very, very good at that.
Condense is very versatile too. Condensing your opponent's units. There's all kinds of good targets out there for it.
Mm-hmm. When that card got released, I told people it's going to get nerfed to 3 at some point. It's still going to get nerfed at some point.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
What are we going to ask?
Karma Set. Do you get a chance to play Karma Set? I played a little bit. Definitely the coin nerf is felt for sure. The deck's still powerful, but I feel like it's maybe in a healthier place now because it's definitely gotten knocked down at least like a bit.
Yep. You can interact with it a lot more. It can't interact with you as much, which makes it feel bad on the Karma Set side because you're like, wow, I could do something about this spell, but I'm not allowed to cast the cards in my hand. And that definitely feels bad. I think people will probably still not enjoy playing against the deck, but like all of a sudden it gets a lot easier to deal with because hypothetical situation, your opponent plays Karma on 10, you respond with removal spell, they respond with place your bets, and then that's it. Karma dies. Maybe they tag out and then coin back into Karma or something, but like they can't coin in response. And that's really, really big because they basically, if you like try to kill Karma, they won't be able to double coin because Karma either dies, leaves the field, or they have to deal with the threat first and then double coin. So it's a lot easier to like interact with that deck.
Totally. Even on other turns when you want to do things like you say, it's like spend mana, but you have 1 left to coin, and you can like go up to deny mana, but you can't like.
No, you can't.
Do you do it? Do you do it on your turn so that like you have deny mana back over to them, and it's like you have to constantly worry about. And I think these are kind of just play patterns that you kind of have to get used to. I think the deck is still good. It's definitely a lot more human now, though, because before when it had the goods, it was just like it felt like kind of unbeatable.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. Yeah, now a lot more human. It's just another deck that's good. Sometimes it's better than other times, but it's definitely just, it doesn't feel busted. It used to just feel so broken when it did the thing. Now it's much more back down to earth. Still a good option. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because, like, I don't know, there's more decks have to bubble up out of the meta, right? You need 3 decks. Like, what else you bringing? Are more of these CS decks coming around? Or like is Scouts? Or let's see. Oh, what was the other one that got hit? There was Kai'Sa got hit. Yeah. Lost quick attack, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. So that does 2 things. One, she obviously doesn't have quick attack when she comes down. And the one that I didn't immediately pick up on is that she now needs to see another keyword to evolve. Because
so she's typically not evolving on 5?
My opponent evolved
it's just 1 more.
It's just 1 more. Because like usually you'd play Kai'Sa and she'd have quick attack and that could be your last one. But now that's not the case anymore. I mean, my opponent still evolved her on 3 yesterday. So
3?
Yeah. It was like Lurk, Fearsome, 1-drop, 1-drop, 2-drop, 1-drop or something. Evolve.
Interesting. Yeah, so sorry, you
go. Yeah, so Kai'Sa is, it feels so much better to play against. I'm gonna be honest. Like Kai'Sa has been very, very good for a really long time. And I think she was a little bit slept on in the previous meta. Not the Siren Song one, the one before. And now you can like interact with her a bit more because you can do things like, okay, I'll go block. I can block Mystic Shot, right? I could do this kind of stuff instead of like Kai'Sa was literally like a check. It was, okay, Kai'Sa, like, do you have Kai'Sa? Check. Is she evolved? Check. Can your opponent move her? No check. You win. If check, continue the game, right? Like, it was literally like, do you have Sunburst? Do you have Vengeance? Like, do you have Hex Obliterator? Can you stop this? And if you couldn't, you just die immediately. Like, Kai'Sa just ends the game. And with Vestian Disciple added to the Vestian Avenging Vestia.
Which one?
Rite of Negation on a stick.
Counter spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The morph one.
So good.
Yeah.
That card needs to be touched eventually.
It's so fucking good. Anyway, so now that's like, Kai'Sa gets that too. Like, if Kai'Sa was untouched and had that and Champ Strength's untouched, like, I'm so glad she got hit a little bit. It would have been a problem. I couldn't believe how many people in the comments and stuff and that I saw on like Twitch were like, oh my god, why is Kai'Sa being touched? Like, when's the last time Kai'Sa was good? I'm like, what? I don't know.
People are cute. Yeah, so, and I think we'll see a rise of some of these things that are good against some of the equipment decks. So, like, I think Ash Noxus, Ash LeBlanc is, I know, good against Jack Sorin, I'm pretty sure. I think it's probably good against the other one also, Aatrox. Yeah. Elusive is definitely good against them. I wonder if we'll see some burn options potentially, because you can go underneath those decks sometimes. Jackson's kind of good at it. It has a little incremental life steal and it drops units from like starting on 1, but it's still the new Jinx decks are really good with the Returno Wrench and stuff. Yeah, like and they play the 4 mana deal 3 to something on the base. Blowback. Strong. Those decks are good. I could see. I mean, those decks were playable in the last meta. Yeah. So I could see them definitely maybe doing some work. But yeah, this format's kind of weird because it's like, yeah, there's the stuff that we mentioned, the four or five decks or whatever that are established and have been for a long time. But it's like, what else? Like, are you bringing 3 of those decks? Like, are you going to bring Jax, Ornn, and Aatrox and Elusives or something? Like, is that your lineup? Seems kind of poops. So the tournament meta, I think, is going to get real interesting. This is one of those ones where everything's kind of like pushed down. Yes. You know, it's kind of like one of those, like, all the decks kind of suck, but not
except
not
the
entirely.
Ones that have not sucked the whole time.
Yeah. But are easy enough to counter, right? If you just have to beat Jax Ornn or you just have to beat Aatrox, like, no problem. We got that.
You can do that. Yeah,
you probably find a lineup that crushes both of those even.
I just pulled up masterruneterra.com, great website. Don't know if you heard of it. And one of the highest win rate decks right now, very small sample size, is Ash Noxus. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, another deck that's been, has been very good in past seasons.
Yeah, I'm shopping around for. I know this is like, well, of course you are. I'm shopping around for Ionia decks because they feel like they should be quite good. Like, if everyone's playing Jax Ornn and Warden of the Tribes and you're playing Concussive Palm deck, you're in incredible shape. But I can't find them. Like, there's Karmaset, obviously, but I'm looking for something else as well. I'm struggling.
What's even left for Ionia champions?
Like Master Yi, I think.
Let me take a look here real quick. All regions, Ionia. So we got Kennen, Ari, Master Yi, Zed, Shen, Karma, Set. That's it. So you got Karma Set. You play a Zed deck. You can play a Shen deck. Shen decks would probably actually be pretty good against the equipment decks, right?
Equipment decks get a little too big, I think.
Oh, really? For like a Shen J4 or something?
I think I'm not sure how the Jax Ornn matchup plays out, but I imagine you just can't ever kill Ornn. And like, they have Buried in Ice and Freezes and stuff, which is probably pretty brutal for you. I think you're probably quite good into Vanetrox though, because Barrier like blows that crap up. I have seen people playing some like Heimer Jace splashing Ionia. I have seen that. But it's not super on the Ionia part. I might give it a shot. I'm pretty interested. We'll see. We'll see how the meta plays out. Like if everyone's gonna be playing these big ass dude decks, broad main decks come in again, right? Like Nora Nar, Jin Nar. You can maybe find another champion and play both. Who knows? We'll see.
Can Ari Kennen ever be a thing again? We need like what's the spell that bounces your guy and their guy? Homecoming?
Homecoming.
Did that get rotated? Yeah, right?
Yep. Yeah, Homecoming's rotated.
Got nerfed to 5 and rotated.
Yeah, and the whole deck is not good. It's pretty rough out here. Ari needs like a direct buff to Ari. Because like even in an Ari deck, I don't know if you can hear it, but Remy is very upset I'm not petting her. Ari needs like a direct buff, and then she needs new supporting cards. Not buff to existing supporting cards. She needs new supporting cards. Her package isn't enough. And then those supporting cards either have to be good or we need buffs to existing cards. There's a whole bunch of things that need to happen for Ari to be good.
Yeah, as much as I love Ari, I don't know if I really even want those kind of decks to be good again. Like we already have Teemo elusives that I'm like, again.
And they played a bit differently, but I totally get what you mean. I just like that. I like Ionia decks where I get to make a lot of decisions.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so real quick though, Jarvan J4 Shen is 55%, 65%. I'm bad at math. 65% win rate into Jaxorn.
Wow, that's really high.
And so is Teemo Elusives is like almost 70%. Ashe LeBlanc is good into it. Looks like the Nasus decks are good into it.
Okay.
And Deep, if that's the thing that comes back.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Deep, mid-range killer. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, this meta is going to be interesting almost because it's like a lack of options. It's going to push, I feel like, some creativity.
We'll find some stuff. Real quick, are you planning on making a push on standard ladder for World's Points?
No, not really, because I didn't do well at the first one. And so there's not really any point unless I do well at the second one. And then if I do, I can just hop onto the Eternal ladder and get the points there probably. Or I can just farm the crap out of the standard ladder once like no one's playing it really and everyone's playing Eternal.
That's true.
But are you?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. How the next couple days go will dictate that. Because like I lost like a few hundred LP yesterday trying to get YouTube content. So that sucked. But like if I spike in the next couple days by playing good decks, which is kind of what I plan to do over the next few days, then yeah, I can totally pursue it. And if not, then I'll just be like, okay, whatever. We'll just focus on like prepping for the tournament, and then I'll do Eternal instead.
Yeah, the way that it's flattened out, like it's top 25.
Yeah,
the most
so much easier. Oh my god, so much easier.
So I feel like you can just wait.
I'm not super worried about it.
Yeah, which is kind of nice on the one hand, but also back to the ladder kind of not mattering. I played a lot of games on ladder that were just like, I was like, no, I didn't want to play against your, brew of whatever. There's a lot. I also found in the gauntlets, just like brews like crazy, where I just like, this is not like, it's almost like, it feels like a waste of time playing against someone's like, Freljord Shen deck or something. I'm just like, yeah, I guess Siren Song was good into that. I'm like 20 minutes back.
It happens.
But I mean, the point that I was trying to get at was that I want ladder to matter, and it kind of does, but like it also kind of doesn't. And so I wish something would change there. I don't know what exactly. I don't know how to fix it. It's a topic for a bigger thing, but
yeah.
That's all I got. Okay, well, we need to wrap this bad boy up. Looking forward to next week, as we'll actually have more data to like really dive into, as well as like, our own experiences. But again, to repeat, our subscriber tournaments are back starting this Monday. It's every evening at 5:30 Pacific. All you have to do is go subscribe on the website. It's $1 for the first month. Go try it out if you haven't already, and then jump over in the Discord, get all the links and stuff. And then we're going to have our Mastering Runeterra tournament, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So July 29th. And then August 5th, the following weekend, is the World's Qualifier. World's Open. gets you straight into Worlds, which I would like to do. That would be nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I
think
know,
so.
Remy. 1 second.
All right, Remy, we're going to say goodbye to everyone. Get you some pets. See you guys next week. Take care. Peace.